We have all grown up with the myth that cuss and swear words is the preserve of the uneducated, the folks who are, in a sense, not like us. And yet, every day, people like you and me, people supposedly educated, prove this theory wrong. The worst invective, the cheapest of jibes, the most scurrilous rollout of information comes from the mouths of some of the most educated of people, technocrats, professionals, and almost all politicians to boot. Mahua Moitra, ex-banker turned politician, is a shining example of this infamous league of educated people. More than anything else she might have said in parliament or any issue she might have raised, she will go down in the annals of parliamentary history for a usage of the cheapest of abuses. The word harami used by her in parliament has to be amongst the lowest of the lows ever spoken by a member of parliament in parliamentary history. And the worst part of the situation is she is completely unrepentant about it. She, in fact, justifies it. But this episode is not about Mahua Moitra or even Arvind Kejriwal, another educated professional and politician who at times resorts to serious, unparliamentary language, to say the least. This episode is about what makes such people tick. What propels them to say the things they do. I will discuss that in a minute. But first, a warm welcome to all viewers of the CAA show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. To watch this video podcast, press the big red subscriber button on your screen, and subscription, of course, is completely free. Most educated people in India grow up understanding the usage of the terms thank you and sorry. It's a different matter whether some educated people choose not to use these terms. And it has nothing to do with the fact these terms and expressions are certainly of Western origin, but now are of universal application and widely accepted by everyone. Some educated people of the microscopic garden variety I have mentioned above choose to ignore these words completely. Have you ever heard a Mahua Moitra or an Arvind Kejriwal ever say sorry about anything? These words simply don't exist in their dictionary. And the choice of language these kind of politicians deploy, or rather the deletions they make from their conversations, is deliberate. So, what they are doing in a sense is this. You would suppose that educated people set an example for others, especially the uneducated or the deprived. But these kind of characters bring down the narrative instead of uplifting it. They speak the language of the gutter because they think in their heads they are endearing themselves to the lowest common denominator or the average Joe in India, and this is the only way they can endear themselves to the average person and win votes. So, by doing this, they assume that those at the bottom of the social scale use swear and abusive words all the time. The use of this kind of language for them is a macho enterprise, a kind of a twisted outreach to the common people. And in the process, as I have said earlier, they cheapen the narrative instead of elevating it. So, what is the truth then? The truth is the common person is as dignified or as abusive at times as you and me. The supposition that educated politicians like these are speaking the language of the poor and the downtrodden is completely misplaced, erroneous, provocative, and delusional for the practitioners of this kind of narration. The truth also is that India is fast becoming an aspirational society where the poor and the deprived of old are moving into the middle income bracket. Those parents want to give their children the best possible education, acquire the best practices and manners of the well-to-do and the successful. And therefore it is inconceivable that they want their children to grow up listening to words like harami, Certain politicians create their own nihilistic universe, which also becomes echo chambers for certain sections that support them. For the life of me, I cannot understand why some social media outfits and anchors have been holding interviews with Mahua Moitra, smiling at her transgressions of the harami kind, egging her on. The public at large is watching all this tamasha, and when it matters, like for instance in the next elections, or when you want to find out how well the channel is doing, then the public strikes and conveys their displeasure. There is accountability for bad behavior. Even those in the gutter want to crawl out of it and rearrange their lives, but not certain politicians who sink deeper and deeper into the filth every day. And so on this note, I come to the end of this episode of the CAA Show, and I hope you really enjoyed this episode. You like our show, do subscribe to us, and on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.